our show. We are going to do part two, the afternoon session of the American Conference Media Days. So we're getting ready to do that. So if you want to, once again, come in and talk American Conference or college football in general, you can come in and we'll send the links to you. So you'll be ready. You'll be able to access those links. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Put that in for you. And then we'll get started again for the night session. So I'm going to go ahead and for the American Conference, we did the morning session, so we're going to do the night. All right, we go ahead and set that up for you.
The year to discuss with change nationally at the Division I level. Joining me now are two SAC student athletes, also football players, Temple and Memphis, offensive lineman Wisdom David Kemp. Wisdom, look at you first. What does SAC and its mission mean to you?
SAC and its mission mean to me is it's a really big role. What SAC means to me, it's a voice for student athletes to be heard. You know, it's an opportunity for student athletes to be presented. You know, given any situation on campus, or I feel like those student athletes should be heard in a very important role. And his mission to me is that athletes should be served. And you know, as we get back to our school, I think it's important that student athletes, you know, are presented with every opportunity on and off the.
David, why for you were you interested in being a part of SAC there at Memphis?
Yeah, I just, I got offered early when I got here, and it looked like a great opportunity to get involved with the campus. And then once I got into it, I really realized how big of a role it was. I got to meet a lot of people who have been in it for a while, and it's just a great opportunity to represent student athletes at our university. And have our voices be heard and help improve student well-being and student well-being and just well-being and just make ours the most it can be.
Both of you mentioned the student athlete voice. When you think about some of the things that you've been able to learn through SAC, how have those leadership qualities really improved how you've been able to serve as a teammate in your locker rooms? Wisdom, we'll start with you.
It taught me how to be more aware of my surroundings when it comes to my teammates. It shows that your teammates should be more heard. Also, it allows me to be understanding and take my communication game to the next level when it comes to, you know, being a teammate and trying to hear my teammates the best I can.
David, what about for you there at Memphis?
I would say it really helped me also, becoming aware with surroundings that I may not be dealing with, or like struggles that other people have on the team or within other sport that we talk about, and just helped me be able to communicate with others about that. And it just helped me kind of get more involved with my team from that aspect.
Take a look at the student athlete voice and changes that you all are creating on your campus. One that really comes to mind of in recent years is name, image, and likeness. But what else? What else are you all doing right now? What issue, big or small, on your campuses to change? David?
Yeah, there's a lot of things we do right now. We've been a lot more active on social media within SAC. right now on the football team, we have a thing called the 901 Fund. Like our area code here in Memphis is 901, and it just is kind of a way for our team to get more active in the community when it comes to our name, image, and likeliness, and help make money from that, rather that's helping out or on social media or just things we're doing.
Wisdom, what about you all in Philly?
Being a school in North Philly, I think it's important that we try to outreach the community around us, try to give back to the community the best we can. Also, we're focused on mental health. I feel as though mental health has been a real big conversation upcoming year or two. It's important that we are creating these safe spaces for our student athletes to reach out to people and feel safe.
You mentioned mental health, and with SAC specifically in the American Powerful Minds is the name of that initiative. What difference has that initiative, that 1 week throughout the fall, but really carrying that forward, those messages forward? What kind of difference has that made on your campuses?
One thing that has been really big when I noticed when I got here, we had a guy come in and speak with us about student athlete mental health and all that. I had never really realized how big that was, and how big of an impact it had on our performance. But when I got in SAC, it became even more of an emphasis. And now, actually, just recently, our team had kind of a counselor get on staff, and we were able to go in and speak with them anytime we want. And it's just kind of a big thing that can help our mental health, which overall leads to helping our performance.
When you think about the culture of your team, what different types of conversations can be had that really can just overall help the feeling inside the locker room?
I would say it just comes with speaking up to each other, opening up to your teammate, the man for the right of you. Just opening up yourself is very important. I don't think it's a good idea to keep yourself closed off, because us student athletes are all going through the same thing. I think it's important that we share the same emotions. We share what each other, because it allows us not to only get through what we're going through, but to know that others around us are going through probably the same situation.
It's incredible to hear that these conversations are being had and the stigma really is being broken down. Switching gears from mental health, what other initiatives, what other things are you all looking to do here this upcoming fall?
When it comes to the upcoming fall, we plan on staying together. I know after COVID year, things are rough, bring everybody back along. But this upcoming fall, it's important that us student athletes stay together. We help each other out, keep each other, motivated, and stay positive through all the adversity we go through.
David, what about for you?
No doubt. I agree with that. And, that has a lot to do with mental health, staying together and being supportive for each other. And I think another aspect we're really wanting to hit is getting more involved in the community. That's, events we go to or things we start up. But I think another thing we really want to involve in is also more NIL opportunities for students here in Memphis, or student athletes here in Memphis. I think that a lot more to be explored with that.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us to talk a lot about what you do off the field. See the exciting on the field play every day, but really, really great to hear all the special things that are being done off the field with SAC. David, Wisdom, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll continue the discussion on student athlete mental health. Coming up next, we'll be joined by SMU licensed psychologist Dr. Allie Wade joins us here in the studios. Be sure to stay with us on ESPN Plus American Football Media Day.
This is the American Athletic Conference.
Here, I attend a top-ranked school.
The United States Naval Academy and the Navy Football Brotherhood is special.
A lot of weapons on that team.
A team that doesn't have to worry about transfer portal, at least trying to find kids to come in as Navy because they're not allowed to. So we are going to get caught up with Navy next. Ken Niumatalolo in his 15th season will just set for a fantastic second of the AAC Media Days when we come back.
Here, I test my limits.
Next to Leo Haggerty with Amped Up Sports Network, please.
Coach, one question, a quick follow-up. You're one of the few programs that the portal really doesn't affect. How nice does it have that continuity where the guys that finish the season with you are going to be the guys that you show up with next year?
Well, actually, the portal does affect us. Fortunately, guys, but people still leave, and people still can leave. The way it doesn't affect us is we can't go into the portal, but people can still leave the Naval Academy and transfer out, which has happened. So it still does affect us, but the way it doesn't, that we're not able to do like everybody else is, we can't go recruit out of the portal like every other school.
Coach, quick follow-up. I was at your press conference when Brigham Young was calling after the Army-Navy game, and I may be paraphrasing a little bit, but you were asking me to choose between my team and my faith. That was really a tough decision for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was tough. Yeah, like you said, because that's my faith. But I love the school. But in the end, it worked out. They had some things that they were looking for. I was at. The only reason I went to look at the school because been a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints my whole life. My son was playing there. So that's the reason I went to go look at the school. But it all worked out in the right way. I'm grateful I'm still here. And they got a really good football coach in Kalani Sitake.
We'll go next to Trace Trilko, please, Sons of UCF.
Coach, what are you hoping your team will accomplish the most during preseason camp?
I want to continue off by everything that we've been doing so far. I want to see how we started to run when we came back in January. And I was really excited, just seeing the way we were running. And then I want to see how we did in fourth quarters. That's kind of our off-season conditioning that we do on a weekly basis. And it's a grueling task and test we want to see. And I thought our guys did really well in that. Then spring ball, we got after each other offensively and defensively. So I was really encouraged to see some of the growth of our team there. And then in the summer, I was here in June, and I was really pleased by all the things that I saw in June. So it's just a continuation. I think so far we're doing all the steps, like I said, and being here so long, I feel like we're preparing this team like we've prepared, as I've been a head coach, prepared 12 other teams in the same steps. We're doing steps A through Z, where in the last 2 years we went A and we skipped some steps. We've been doing everything this offseason. What I'm looking for in this, and just to continue that progress, that process of getting ready for a grueling season.
Head coach Ken Niumatalolo. Coach, before I let you go, I have one question. The players that play for you have such rigorous schedules with their training in football and classes. And now, as you mentioned, a chance to kind of go back to normal how 3 years ago. I'm curious what you and your players do for fun outside of football class and everything.
Oh, they're normal kids. These are normal young men. They love to have fun. They're special in that their academics are important to them. Football is very important to them. So they try to balance that. But they're also normal kids. They love to have fun. So we're in Annapolis. It's a great place to be. Very close to D.C., close to Baltimore. There's things around. It's a beautiful, and there's a lot of things around here. So you guys get a chance to have fun.
Good deal. I appreciate the time. Looking forward to watching you guys play again this year. Good luck 2022 season and throughout fall camp.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
You too, Ken Niumatalolo in his 15th season. I just wonder, do they play golf? I don't know that you get 4 hours of time during an off season. We talk with Tulsa and the fishing and the grilling. But you go and you cover a team, and it is incredible to witness what these athletes go through.
I don't think they get as much free time as other student athletes, but the commitment the players give at Navy and any of the academies for that matter is unparalleled. I mean, it's unbelievable. And he mentioned it. We talked about the transfer portal, and you could tell in his voice that it does affect them because he still can lose players, but he can't say, well, I lost my right tackle. Let me go see it in the portal if there's someone. He just can't do that. So that's another disadvantage now to the academies that he's dealing with. But the biggest thing I take away from listening to Coach Niumatalolo is they're back to normal. And that hurt them, not being able to do
2 years ago, they hadn't done any
and they had opened that game and they didn't tackle, and it was a disaster. And so they're back to normal. They're doing their regular practice regime, A to Z, like he said. So I think that's just going to dividends program.
Let's take a look at the schedule for 2022 season. Of course, the very end will be December 10th against Army, the game that we all look forward to, the amount of tradition in that one. But they kick things off against Delaware September 3rd. And then they start the conference season September 10th against Memphis.
Yeah, and you heard his comments there. I think the American Athletic Conference has been really good for Navy, and he mentioned that. And they've done, and the thing about, we talk about we've seen Navy on the top end of this conference.
Yeah.
Last couple of years, as he said, they've come down, the latter end. And so it kind of is indicative of what the preseason media poll, but Navy's one of those teams that's ranked in the bottom half. That would not surprise me if they make a huge leap forward this year and improve by 3 or 4 wins. It really would not.
Well, let's chat with a few of the players. Safety John Marshall, kicker Bijan Nichols. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. John, I'll start with you, Coach Niumatalolo. Finally, things are back to normal in terms of practices. You're able to do things the way years ago. So far, how have you seen that transform the team in terms of camaraderie, preparation for the 2022 season?
First of all, thank you for having us. But I've seen a lot of the cohesion back from what we had my first year, my plebe year. And that's just huge for the team, being able to deal with the guys. And you don't have that when COVID's coming on. So just that ability to get stronger and closer together, knowing the brother next to you's weakness, knowing your strengths is just really helpful. And hopefully, we can elevate it to a week this year.
Okay, we'll go to questions for the midshipmen, please. Just kind of use the raise hand feature in the chat to get in the queue. With Dan Tortora, please.
This is for you both. I appreciate you being here. Just, what it means from Navy. We've already heard about the difference that is obviously there in different ways when it comes to the transfer portal, but you're the difference all the time as students, athletes, and serving the country, and how you feel that weight on your shoulders and how life at Navy is obviously well beyond football.
I think that what we have here is just a great way to set us up. We're serving the greatest country in the world. We're able to do it for free. Great education. You're serving with even better men and women to the right. I think the days do get long, and it's a growing process, but I think it's all worth the end. Just to be able to say that you graduated from a place like this, football, and a great conference as the AAC, played against great teams, and then even tradition, like Navy game.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. I think all around there's no better experience. There's a great sense of duty that I feel every day walking around in our halls and in the school, just seeing the people next to me and the people that I look up to who are on here. It's really inspiring, and that ties over well into football and how close we feel, even within such a close place as the Naval Academy. I think Navy football is even closer than that. And that's something that a lot of other teams don't have in college football.
Well, I want to thank you, gentlemen, because my grandfather and great uncle both served. So I do appreciate your service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your support. We'll take the next question from Bill Wagner, please. Capital Gazette.
Well, for both of you, I'm curious as to what you all think being picked second to last in the preseason poll. Obviously, the rest of the conference doesn't think much of Navy's chances. Is that a motivator for the players?
To be 100% honest with you, I didn't even know that we were picked that low. I don't really pay too much attention to that. I think most of us are kind of head down and grinded out guys. We don't really care what the other team thinks of us going into the game, or what we're picked as. We know we're going to go in there and work hard and compete. for the guy to our left and our right.
Echoing what Bijan said, rankings are just rankings at the end of the day. Sure, are we going to use it for fuel to motivate our season? Yeah, we might call it punted, but it's the guys in there being true competitors. You know, our ability to want to win more than the other team wants to win, our ability to want to crush them more than they want to crush us is just ultimately what's going to come the end of the day. I don't look at any of the rankings. You know, it tends not to be true come end of the day, and I'm excited for where we're at right now and where we're going to finish.
Take the next question from. Oh, I'm sorry, Bill. Go right
Why?
ahead.
Just one follow up. Tell me some reasons why you feel Navy will be better than perhaps the outsiders think.
I think our heart and our determination is what sets us apart from the other team, and there's no measurable way that they can put that on paper and rank us. I know the brothers left and right of me are working just as hard as me to do the same thing. It's kind of a thing that you can't just measure us with a number. It's kind of a thing you have to look at, you have to feel, and I'm excited that we're going to be able to display that for the country come this fall.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with what John said. There's no height or weight or statistic or speed or time or anything like that that you can really put on what we have going on here and in our locker room and on our field. So I wouldn't expect a lot of people to necessarily understand that unless they're in our locker room all the time and they're part of the brotherhood.
Any other questions, Bill? Right, we'll move on to Trace Trilco, Sons of UCF, please.
For each of you, a lot of close losses last season. What are some things that you think you need to work on in preseason camp that will help flip the script in 2022?
I think just this offseason, we've really harped on being more detail attentive. The effort piece is always going to be there for us. We're always going to be flying around. We're always going to be making the most of what we have. But just a thing that coaches have harped on and we have harped on as a class is that we need to be better with the details. And ultimately, if we can put those together, I feel like a lot of those close games come our way and ends up being a much better season for us last year. Even though that's a pass, it's what we're going to look on forward to this year. And I think if we can do that, we'll be a very good team.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said it any better. It's the details that Navy football relies on and the attention and passion with which we carry those out. I think that's going to be and what we have going already. What we're going to push for with fall camp and then into the season to flip a lot of those games.
John Bijan, we appreciate the time. Good luck 2022 season. Excited to watch you guys start things off on September 3rd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it. That was Navy. It was when they talk about close losses. I think that the being able to practice like normal, being able to have those situational awareness, being able to tackle like you could and give that effort goes a long way in terms of late games.
There's no doubt it does. Like I said, it's going to play huge dividends, and I think it will flip this, if you will, for them. And just, I tell you, whenever we interview Naval Academy players like that, I always feel better about our because those are our future leaders. So I always feel good. And how about Bijan Nichols giving some kicker love, right? Being in there, did not miss an extra point last year. 28 for 28, 15 for 19 in field goals. I know why Coach Ken had him up in the team.
Always some stand-up guy. Thank you guys for your service as well. Up next, we're going to talk to Houston. They were picked to finish first in the preseason poll that was released today. We'll hear from Dana Holgerson. Chat about his quarterback, Clayton Tune, the senior, 39 touchdowns a season ago. What's in store for the senior and the rest of that Cougar offense? Back.
We wear red.
Game day. Just to take them one at a time, you know, I mean, that's really all I've ever known how to do it. So obviously the conference is important. You know, the non-conference is important too. Just, you know, last year we lost that first one against Texas Tech, which put us out of the not being able to host the championship game. You finish 8-0 and you would have liked to at least play on a neutral site field. But, you know, we went up to Cincinnati and those guys were outstanding. You know, I heard this rumor that we're picked to win and all that. I'm just going to have to disagree with it. I mean, what Cincinnati's put together for the last couple of years, and, you know, Coach Fickle has been been there for going on 5-6 years now. They had 12 guys drafted, so I doubt they just relying on those guys within their program. They probably had some pretty good players behind. So haven't lost a game in the conference in the last couple of years, so that's going to have to be my pick.
It's not a rumor, it is true, but I will tell you there was only one vote separating you guys in Cincinnati, so I guess you could toss it in the air, anyone's bet. And Coach Fickle had the same regards for your team as well. Let's get to Chuck Sullivan, who's going to have the media members ask you some questions, Dana.
Thanks, Chris. We'll go to questions from the media again. Raise your hand in the Zoom to get into the queue. We'll start with Joseph Duarte from the Houston Chronicle, please.
Dana, along those lines, from reaching the championship game last year, favorite status going into the preseason, based on your expectations, are you where you thought the program would be at this point, or are you ahead of schedule?
I don't think you put expectations on where exactly you're going to finish throughout each year. Everybody's very critical with how we started things here. We had a plan when we first got here, and continuity has been really good going in the fourth year with this program. So, yeah, I'd say we're on track and, proud of what we did last year. But at the end of the day, we didn't accomplish our goal. Our goal is to win the conference championship game. We got there. Cincinnati was an unbelievable football team last year, very deserving of a Final Four CFP berth. And they're setting the standard for what it needs to take to be able to win the Americans. So, year one, not whatever, COVID, 8 games canceled, but I do think we showed improvement. It didn't feel like it at the end of the year because, we dropped a couple of close ones at the end of the year, but I do think there is improvement. And then going into last year, it just started paying off. So I think we're better. We got most of our guys back. It's going to be hard replacing, a couple guys like Logan Hall and Pepe Williams and Marcus Jones and Cody Ressi. Those guys are going to be hard to replace, but we got most of our team back, and we're adding a lot of good pieces as well. So, yes, we're on track. We've got a difficult schedule. We know that. Got to take them one at a time.
We'll go next to James Miller from the Daily Cougar, please.
Yeah, Dana, as you start to ramp things up and head into fall camp, can you just talk about just some of the things you're looking for? You've emphasized how important it is to start off on the right foot and not have a repeat of, the Tech game last year. Looking for in these next couple of weeks as you lead up to September 3rd.
Yeah, we're not really living in the past. Every team is new. It doesn't matter on what pieces what pieces you got coming back. The dynamic of your team is really new. We're not going to sit there and focus on the fact that we didn't play very good against Texas Tech in the second half. Just like we're not going to focus on the fact that we had an 11-game win streak, and fell a little bit short in the championship game and then beat a good Auburn team in the bowl game. All that's done, so 2022 is, there's all kinds of things that needs to take place right now. We had a good practice this morning. We have some off-season stuff we do. So we got something. We're gonna be with our guys one more day tomorrow, and then we're gonna cut them loose and let them be normal people for about 5 days. Because once it starts next Thursday, it's all business for about 5 months. I'm anxious to see what this team is. I think we got a good nucleus with a lot of leadership, a lot of older veteran players that have good experience and know what it takes to win in this great conference. And looking forward to next Thursday to be able to get started.
Take the next one from Mark Berman from KRIV, please.
Dana, I know you touched on the preseason poll. Some thoughts about the fact that Luke Fickell agreed with the poll and said he would pick you.
Yeah, my thoughts, what I said earlier, I disagree with him. I pick him.
Go to the next one from Dayon Dunlap, please.
Hey, Coach Ferguson, last year you talked about how if Clayton Tune did develop well under you in year 3, that you would say that you did a good job coaching. He obviously excelled. So what level that he can tap into in his development his last year?
Yeah, it should be improved in every area of his game. I was very proud of how he improved last year. I've always believed in Clayton. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. There's no doubt. He improved, overcame the beginning of the year where he didn't play very good in the second half against Tech, and then he got hurt 2 games later and had to battle that injury for 3 or 4 games. But the way that he finished the second half of the season, tons of improvement. And he's really worked hard on his body, on his shape. He's incredibly intelligent, and probably the biggest key is we got better pieces around him right now. We got a more experienced offensive line. We got one of the most dynamic receivers in the country. We got Keyshawn Carter back, who was arguably one of our best players earlier in the year last year. Christian Trahan, and a whole bunch of receivers and running backs around him that I think can make plays. So he's got all the experience and he's got all the potential, and looking forward to watching him play his last year. There's something about those fifth-year seniors, about production and what you get out of them. His college career is going to be over here in about 5 months. So he's really in a good place, and he's really excited about the year.
Matt Musil, KHOU, please.
Hey, Dana, that's great to hear about Clayton. What excites you the most about this team? How it's developed coming off last season through spring, and what you've got to start here next week? What excites you the most about this team?
That we're old. That was the first. We're old as as far as college kids go. We average around 22-year-old per starter. So there's just that goes a long ways. First year I was here with the whole red shirt thing, and getting people back on track from a degree perspective. The COVID year gave everybody another year. So we just got a very old veteran football team. So very per-led. I've talked less in 2022 than I have the first 3 years, because we have captains. We have 8 captains right now that are old and do a really good job of leading this team. So, the more that they do, the better off our team's going to be. We talk a lot about what happens in the locker room. Coaches don't control anything in the locker room. So you need a good nucleus of older guys, and we need captains that are all pretty close to being done with their career here at Houston, and they're doing a great job of leading this team.
Thanks, Dana.
We'll go to Matt Baker from the Tampa Bay Times, please, for the next one.
Hey, Dana, you mentioned obviously the departure of Lynn Hall a few minutes ago down here in Tampa, so I got to ask, when did you realize he could be a really special player?
He was a late bloomer. He had great size. I kid him all the time. My first year here, he was a sophomore, and he couldn't stay on his feet. He'd be rushing the passer, he'd be on the ground all the time. And I'd kick him out of the drill and say, you need to learn to stay on your feet, or I'm going to move you to offensive tackle. And he'd just kind of laugh at me. And when he came into the spring of his junior year, last spring, a year ago this time, you could tell in spring practice that this was a different guy. So, he was 6'6", 260 pounds, and, stayed on his feet the entire practice. And I would tell our D-line coach, Brian Early, and Doug Belk, just don't even practice him anymore. I mean, 1, we can't get a play off if he's in there, and 2, he's figured things out. So it was really spring a year ago. And then obviously had an unbelievable season last year. Supported him coming out early. I mean, we knew he was going to be a high draft pick, and landed at a good spot. I actually came to Tampa and watched one of the last games of the season last year in December. Grant Stewart is another one of our guys that's on that team there in Tampa, and obviously watching Tom Brady was a highlight as well.
Back to Joseph Duarte for another one, please.
Dana, what's the running back room look like for you? I mean, you get the loss of Alton, in the spring, but it seems like you've got some guys that you're going to seriously count on to sort of load there behind Tayshaun.
Yeah, first Alton, he's doing good. He's actually been cleared to run a little bit, so he's doing through all the muscle, but he's, moving forward with his rehab progress, and proud of where he's at with that. Tayson Henry is the guy right now. Tayson's played a lot of football. Played a couple years at Texas Tech and was the featured guy at Texas Tech, for his second year that he was there. Has played a lot of ball. He split time with Alton last year. However much Tayson can handle, he's going to get. Kind of the rest of them are wild cards. There's 4 or 5 guys behind him with like Stacy Sneed and Brandon Campbell, and James Fulbright, a couple of guys that just haven't played a whole lot yet. So that's what we got one dude that's played a lot and haven't played at all. So how much those guys progress, time's gonna tell. If they don't, I'll just take the backs off the field and we'll go empty the whole time and just sling it around like the good old days. I don't want to do that. So we'll see which one of these backs step up.
Go next to Dan Tortora. Wake up call DT, please.
Coach, when you came into the conference for the American, you said that you had a lot of respect for the AAC from the outside looking in. Now that you've been on the inside, just what you can say about the level of competition and how you really truly feel about the conference being a part of it.
Yeah, it's a great conference. That first year, I think 6 of the teams in the league were ranked that first year. Pretty unbelievable schedule that we had to play that first year. It's really a good league. I really worry. If you look at our schedule, it's challenging. Okay, we have to go in the league. We got to go 2 East Carolina, 2 Navy, 2 SMU, and 2. All 4 of those schools are really good at home. So we got our work cut out when it comes to that. Not to, downplay anybody that we're playing at home or any, but a lot of good quality team. I guess the good news is we don't have to play Central Florida and Cincinnati unless it's a championship game situation. But just top to bottom, it's a good quality conference and continues to get better.
Take another from Mark Berman, please.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. We'll go to Chris Baldwin from Paper City then, please.
Dana, how have you seen Clayton in particular grow as a leader over the years, and how important is, at that position, the quarterback embraces that role?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And I met with the captains last week and we discussed this. We educate our guys throughout the course of the year on how to be leaders and how to be captains. And probably the most encouraging thing, the quarterback's going to have that role and has to accept that role. But the more captain people we around him, the less Clayton's going to have to do. And the less Clayton has to do, the more he gets to focus on being a quarterback. So Clayton's the rah guy. He's not going to, you're not going to say a whole lot. It's all business for him, which is what the quarterback position is supposed to be. He's supposed to execute. And the only way you can execute is if you have a clear mind and around you are acting the way that they need to be acting. And so if you have other captain quality guys like Christian Trahan and Patrick Paul, older guys like Tayson Henry and Keyshawn Carter, Jack Freeman, those guys need to handle everything and make sure everybody's functioning in the right way. So that way he can focus on execution and doing things that he needs to do.
We'll take the next one from Leo Haggerty, please.
Coach, the good news is a great majority of your players are from Texas. It's a hotbed of football. The bad news is you're fighting against probably a dozen really good football teams. How important for recruiting was it for you to have the best record in Texas last year?
That certainly didn't hurt. The good news, it's not just the 12 schools in Texas that are recruiting here. You can go East Coast to West Coast. All the way from California to Florida recruits down here in Texas. It's competitive, but there's a reason why they're all here. So there's a lot of guys that come down here that we battle against, and that's fine. Our recruiting strategies really hasn't changed since I've been here. Recruit them all, especially in Houston. If they choose to go somewhere else, don't be mad at them. Keep the relationship strong because they may want to come back. And we've seen that a lot, especially, with Power 5 on the horizon for the University of Houston. a lot of the guys that would have came here out of high school, if that was the case, didn't. I respect that, wanted to go play Power 5, are coming back, and so recruiting's never been as good as it is right now, and I just think it's a combination of what the future is going to be for the University of Houston, having great staff continuity. Well, our whole staff's together for going on 4 years now, and then you couple that with 12-win season and a great bowl victory against Auburn, then there's a lot of momentum here.
We'll go next to Matt Lucille, please, for another.
Hey, Dana, more on Alton. You said he's cleared to run. What other kind of timetable do you have for him?
I have none. I mean, there's that conversation won't even be had for months and months. So, the question is whether he's going to be able to come back for us. I doubt that, just kind of, being smart about it, doubt it. I don't know. That's not my call. If I wanted that to happen and the doctors say no, then the doctors are going to win out for sure. So we're interested in what's in the best for Alton and his future.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Trace Trilko for Sons of UCF for the next one, please.
Coach, for this to be a championship season for your team, what are you going to need from your defense?
Yeah, I'm glad somebody asked a defensive question here because I'm very proud of where we're at defensively. Doug Belk did a great job in his first season as defensive coordinator. We got the whole defensive staff back. We lost a couple of key players, 3 guys in the NFL, 4 guys in the NFL, David Anini, Logan Hall, Pepe Williams, and Marcus Jones, who are going to step up to take the place of those guys. I think we got a lot of options. We got a lot of guys back. Do we have any first rounders out there? I don't. We didn't know if Logan was going to win, last year as well. But we got a lot of numbers to choose. A lot of transfers coming in. A lot of JUCO guys. A lot of young kids that now is their time. And that was my point with Cincinnati too. They lost 12 guys in the NFL, but I promise you they've been recruiting hard there for the last couple of years, and they got good players behind them. So who are the ones that are going to, step up and take those places? That's why we start practice on next Thursday. But I'm excited about where we're at defensively. Our staff's doing a great job. I think we've been recruiting at a high level. We got a plan, and looking forward to these guys continuing to play well.
Coach, one last question for you. You talked about the pieces that are surrounding Clayton Tune, and one of the biggest pieces is Nathaniel Dell. 90 catches last year. He's explosive. What makes him such a special wide receiver?
We had some inside receivers, and so I had to play Nathaniel Tank outside. He kept telling me, Coach, move me inside. I'm like, well, okay, I'll make you a deal. I do some things with the formations to put you in the inside about probably half the time, but I just kind of need you outside most of the time. Once we moved him inside, you could just tell you can't cover him. He is an elite inside receiver. He's not very big, so he can kind of get bodied on the outside a little bit. But when we started moving him around and getting him freed up, you couldn't cover him. So I've coached some pretty good inside receivers, and this one is elite. And, he's 60 pounds, but you can't cover him. You can't touch him. He's got great ball skills. His nickname's Tank for a reason. He's tough. He's smart. He can play any position that we ask him to. I'm very proud of his development.
We'll hear from him in just a bit. 12 touchdowns from a year ago. Dana, appreciate the time. Good luck as you guys start fall camp.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Go Cougs.
One of the things that we had talked about, and we had said with SMU, is these transfer guys coming home. And one of them is Deshaun Beckroom. He was a feature guy at Tech. Says a lot about the state of Houston program to leave that school, but to be able to come home and be able to insert this running back.
And with Alton McCaskill going to need someone to step up. You heard him say it. He doesn't want to go empty set, right? No running backs. He said he'll do it if he has to. He doesn't want to. So someone needs to step up in that. I know Dana doesn't want to be the preseason favorite. No one wants that bullseye. But he mentioned while he was talking, the reason why is because of their experience. You heard him say the average age of his starters is 22 years of age. You just can't replace that experience that they have there, led by Clayton Tune, and we just looked at Nathaniel Dell. So they got a lot of pieces back on that team, and that's why they're the favorite.
It's been cool to witness him put it together because 2019 was rough. 2020 was just in terms of and the amount of cancellations, there was 8 of them, was a complete disaster. Then to take that into 2021 season with 8 wins in the regular season. Quick question about defense.
Yeah.
Because it's Dana, so we want to sit here and 90% of the questions are going to be offense, but as a defense, the number 6 in the country last year.
Yeah, and you see how excited he was to get a defensive question, because obviously Dana Holgerson known for offense. Everyone wants to talk offense, but Doug Bell, his defensive coordinator, has done a tremendous job. He's been there all 4 years with him. Had some good players last year. They got some good ones again this year, so I think that defense is going to step up once again.
We have some good players joining us now. Wide receiver Nathaniel Dell Tank and defensive back Hassan Hippolyte. I'm going to start with defense because Nathaniel's going to get all the offensive questions in just a second. Tell me, Hassan, why is your defense going to be as good as it was last year?
To be honest with you, we really not shooting to be as good as we were last year. We're trying to be better. Being like top 6 and stuff like that, a lot of people will be like ecstatic with that. But we use that for fuel fire. Like, we want to take it to top 3 now. Let's top 2, not 2. Let's see how far we can go with it. That's the type of energy we got in this building.
Okay, we'll take questions from the media for the student athletes. We'll start with Joseph Duarte from the Houston Chronicle, please.
Tank, what's it been like the last few months to watch the wide receiver room has changed? What's Keyshawn coming back? Some of the guys that have come through the transfer portal.
It's been good. You know, we brought Keyshawn back. He shook the injury off, so that's been a good thing. We brought Matthew Golden in, Kojak, Sam Brown, and Manjack, and they've been coming in here making big plays, so it's going to be special.
We'll go next to James Miller from the Cougar.
Yeah, Hassan, obviously, from the secondary perspective, y'all have big shoes to fill with replacing Marcus and Pepe, but Coach Belk seemed pretty high on guys like Alex and Jace and Art. And just with you, Tabo, guys returning, can you just talk about the makeup of this secondary and what makes it where y'all will be able to fill those shoes and, like you said, maybe even take it to the next level this season?
Yeah, cause with losing those 2 guys, it is like some big shoes to fill. But in our room, we keep competition like the way that we're coached is like no guy's greater than the next guy. So it's like if I mess up or I do something wrong on the play, like it's pretty good chance I'm gonna be taken out, and the next man is gonna be up. So if he performs at a higher level than me that game, then I gotta put my foot in. Got to do his best for the defense, and that's just little this guy. It's like who's practicing better this week? Who's doing what we can do to put us in the position that we want to be as a defense each and every game.
Matt Music, KHOU.
Hey guys, I just want to know: are you driven more by coming up short against Cincinnati or the 9th win against Auburn in that ball game?
I'll answer that. I feel like we driven more about losing in the championship game. You know, that brings people want to win championship games. Nobody want to lose a championship game. The bowl game was cool and all, but we trying to get back to the championship game and win.
Hassan, same question.
To be honest, like me and a couple other guys, like after that game, we just stayed there just to watch it and see how like it felt to like see it like win a championship, and we watched the confetti fall on another team and stuff like that. So no disrespect to like a bowl win or anything like that, but we trying to go big. We trying to go dancing. You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't here to participate in these mediocre bowl games or anything like that. We want to take over.
Go to Chris Baldwin for Paper City for the next one, please.
For both guys, how have you seen Clayton grow as a leader over the years? And also, is there another guy on the team also who sort of jumped out to you as sort of taking on, part of that leadership role?
Well, I guess I'll be better to answer that question because I go against Clayton Tune at practice. He's not throwing me the ball. I feel like just as far as like I seen him develop on and off the field, he's more vocal now. You know what I'm saying? He's making his presence really known as far as like him being a leader and the way that he talks to the guys around him and trying to make everybody that's in the room with him better. And I see him like I drive past the school on like Thursdays at 7 o'clock at night. I see him, Tank, other receivers' cars outside the indoor there and they're getting extra work and stuff. So I feel like as far as like being a pro, like he's growing better as far as that.
Yeah, and like he was saying, to piggyback off what he said, he's been better as being a leader, like vocally, and he's like walking around talking to the defense like more like usually like 2 years ago last year he was just talking like off players, receivers, stuff like that, but he's talking to like Jays, hip, linebackers, defensive line, everybody. He's just getting comfortable with everybody, so that's a good thing in quarterback.
We're going to Trace Trilko for the next one, Sons of UCF.
For each of you guys, what did you do in the off season that prepares you for this next season, both mentally and physically?
Me mentally, I know like this year I'm gonna get a lot of defensive eyes out for what I did last year, so I went harder than what I did last year. You know, I set goals for myself bigger than what I did last year. I don't want to say my goals, but I set some big goals for myself this year. So I've been hitting the weight room hard, getting it up, physicality up and stuff like that. And then me and Toon been going to the indoor or game field. We just repping routes, and he throwing me the ball. I'm catching him, sprinting the field, scoring touchdowns, just getting that feeling back. So I'm feel like I'm.
Well, me personally, I just been working on like my stamina and stuff like that. Being a guy that could play the same way I did in the first quarter as I do in the fourth quarter. And is he talking to us? Oh, but yeah, I lost a couple pounds. You know what I'm saying? Got my speed up, and my coverage skills and stuff like that. But I really wasn't going in it for like a personal, you know what I'm saying, up gain. And I was trying to do the best I can to make everybody around me better, because we got like younger guys and stuff like that. So I really wanted to like teach them the ins and outs of like what it mean to be an athlete, a student athlete, like a real student athlete, not just a guy that plays football and go to class.
And also with me again, we have new receivers like other than me and Keyshawn, other than me, Keyshawn, Peyton, and a couple more receivers. Like every other receiver is new. Like nobody else touched the field like that other than me and Keyshawn. That's coming back this year. So I've been trying to be a better leader. You know, help them on their plays and make sure in the right spots they're supposed to be in, and they know their job.
Go back to Joseph Duarte for the next one, please.
You were named the team captain for the first time last week. What did that mean to you? And for those of us who won't see practice as much, what can people expect from Matthew Golden at the receiver spot this year?
All right, being a team captain, I wanted to be a team captain last year. You know, I was in a race for it last year, so when I wasn't a team captain last year, that kind of, I felt some way about that. But I'm happy now that I was voted team captain by the players and the coaches on the staff. That means they put their trust in me. But with you saying Matthew Golden, he's going to be special. I feel like Matthew, he has the talent to be the next star at receiver at U of H. So yeah, that man's something special. You're gonna see this year. He added a lot of value to the offense, of course.
And we go to James Miller from the Cougar, the Cougar, please.
Yeah, Tank. Obviously, with losing a guy like Alton, that would be a big hit on a lot of teams. But just with having a guy like Tavon being able to step up with what he did last year, and then Coach Holgerson seems really high on him this year. Can you just talk about how you've seen him grow and just sort of how he helps, leading that running back game to open up things and make things easier on you and the other receivers?
Yeah, so Tay been like my workout guy. Like he's the one I work with. I talk to him every practice, make sure his head on straight. He makes sure my head on straight, make sure we competing with each other and amongst ourselves. But he's stepping up. He's gonna play a big role. He did what he did last year, and that was just like with limited touches and stuff, because we had auto and things like that. But I feel like he can carry the load for sure. Like he's been preparing better. Getting his body right every day. He's in the training room. Hot tub, cold tub, getting massages, getting his mind right, getting his body right, and making sure he's ready. So I feel like he's gonna have a great year, big year for him.
Guys, one last question before we let you go. You two go up against each other in practices and in spring game. Tank, how many touchdowns have you scored on Hassan?
You don't never score on me because I don't hold him. I put Jace on his head.
Is it true? Honesty?
I don't want to speak on it. I'm not getting stopped.
Good answer.
I'm not going to get stopped at practice. Ever.
Appreciate it, guys. You guys got a week until things kick off for fall camp. Enjoy it.
All right, thank you.
Lynn, you got to ask that sometimes there's a little trash talking.
There's definitely a lot of trash talking in those practices. But listen, that's the competition you love. That's what makes those guys better. you love it. I knew you were going to safety. I knew he was going to say something like,
sure.
I don't guard, so he ain't scored none on me.
Shut down. They might get a little bit of that trash talking from their head coach. You think,
Yeah, just a little bit.
And Dana Holgerson, the Houston Cougars expected to finish first in the preseason poll released today. How about another new head coach? Stan Drayton over at Temple. We will talk with the new head coach of the Owls coming up right after this.
Into the culture and moving up on the depth chart heading into camp.
Yeah, they're phenomenal additions program. The number one thing that both of those guys you mentioned, they bring playing experience. They've been in the war before. They've been on the field and they've were productive football players for their previous program. So also a level of maturity. They are guys who in those positions where we felt that we had to grow in a lot of different areas. One, maturity. These guys are natural leaders who don't flinch in the midst of adversity. They handle their business both on and off the football field. Examples for the guys that are young in that room that will figure things out. And you know how it is. Anytime you bring a proven player into a room, you raise the level of competition in that room, and it's that makes everybody in that room better. So immediately the level of competition has risen in those groups. Everybody has gotten better from it in the off season. So we'll see what it looks like on the depth chart. They still have to go out there and fit our system and get out there and be productive. And it's not necessarily about how old you are and where you've been. It's a matter of how productive you're going to be. And so we'll see what that looks like in regards to our real soon here.
When Temple has success, it's usually because the O-line and the D-line are able to hold their own. How have they progressed since spring practices?
Well, I'll tell you what, the D-line is probably the most tenacious and the strongest group of leaders on the entire football team. Those guys have done a phenomenal job building a camaraderie amongst each other. They're holding each other accountable. There's positive conflict amongst each other. And they're really a strong group coached by Antoine Smith. I mean, if you know Antoine Smith, you're not going to be able to step the wrong way without him, being right there to get you right on track. So those guys have embraced that culture, and I'm really excited about that D-line. The offensive line, obviously, in the spring, there was some shuffling deck. We're trying to figure out who's going to better serve us at certain positions. So their development was somewhat slowed down because we're just moving them around, trying to figure out where is going to be the best suited for them to help us win ball games, run the football, those things. And now that we're through the spring sense of that, they'll be able to kind of hone into their positions. But the one thing with the leadership of Adam Klein and Isaac Moore really bought into the development in the offseason in regards to, learning the system, getting a better feel for what's going to be asked of them in certain situations and rallying their whole entire group to do the right thing all the time. So it's exciting to watch those two guys grow. I just can't wait to get to camp to see those two positions make each other better.
Thanks, Dan.
We'll go next to Rock Hoffman from Football Stories Magazine, please.
Hi, Coach. Good afternoon. You've mentioned culture already 2 or 3 times in this little segment we've had. Obviously, you weren't here last year, but have you gotten feedback from people that the culture is changing at Temple now that you're there?
Yeah. So, I don't want to batter the word culture, but there were some things that needed to change, and, I don't know what necessarily happened with previous regime before me or anything like that. But what I do know, learning from our football players, is where they need to grow, and we locked in and focused on, what were their strengths and what are their current weaknesses, both on and off the football field, that are either helping us win ball, helping us lose ball games. And we address those issues. And we've been very vulnerable with each other in the process of doing that. It brought us closer as a football team. And that alone, that closeness, that cohesiveness that's starting to develop within the team is the main thing that our players are talking about that they feel awesome about, and they feel with that piece that they'll get that alone will give us a chance to, come closer and have a chance to win ball games. So, where everywhere I've been, you don't win championships unless you're a tight football team, a team that's playing for one another, stepping outside of your individual goals that you have for yourself and making the team goals a priority. And I think that's the one thing that our players are feeling to be genuine. And if that's the case, then that makes me think about what the future is for us as a football program.
And you mentioned the offensive line, still a little bit of a work in progress. Adam Pine's a guy that's played everywhere. How does that versatility help you guys?
Tremendous, right? So we know those guys get beat up over the course of time. And you're right. I heard somebody say, being a former running back coach, yeah, we plan on running the football. So, we plan on being a very physical unit. And, when injuries happen from time to time, we can't get ourselves pigeonholed because we've developed a player one-dimensionally, So to have position flex, especially at the offensive line, especially with a proven player in Adam Pine, really is a special thing, and I'm playing to that. But we're going to get Adam Klein settled in, and we're still going to cross-train those guys. But again, as you noted, to have position flex at the offensive line is a tremendous advantage.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Dan Tortora, Wake Up Call DT, please.
Coach, for you, for this Temple program, I know you were just talking about how some things needed to change. What was advantageous for you to be a part of this program at Temple and lead it, as I know that you and your wife obviously have a connection in Philadelphia, but why Wrighton it a good place for you to build and to change this culture?
That's a great question, and a little bit of a tough question to answer, but the one thing that I'm excited about it being at a place like Temple, being an inner city kid from Cleveland, Ohio, myself, my wife being an inner city kid from Detroit, we can relate to where these kids are coming from. We understand the dynamics of where our recruiting areas are and what these kids are coming from and what they're going through and what they experience and the things they had to overcome to get to this opportunity. So that alone helped us to bridge some gaps rather quickly. But this team was hungry. They're hungry. They carry a chip on their shoulder. They carry an underdog mentality that can be used as a positive. And, I kind of was that type of a player, Division III player that, felt that he was overlooked or whatever it may be. And I created these experiences and made them myself, and I think these kids carry an edge. And that's always been Temple. I've always looked at this place, and watched the product that was put on the field and the physicality that they brought to games and the toughness, the grit that they brought to games when they were winning football games around here. And I try to be that as a coach, and then that's what I was as a player. So that alone right there allows me to kind of stay within who I am, and these players are buying into that.
We'll go next to Leo Haggerty, please.
Coach, when you come into a program where John Chaney was and he would practice at 6 o'clock in the morning just to make sure his players got out of bed and then went to class. Are you talking about doing anything like that to try and change the culture?
No, we're not talking about it. We're doing it. That's exactly what we're doing. Yeah, we practice in the morning, and once they take the helmet off, we're deep in their lives, making sure that they're doing the things, making the right decisions that continue to help us win championships both on and off the football field. And that's what this place is. We take pride in developing the whole man, and that's exactly what Chaney did. And to sit here and have a coach in Aaron McKee who actually played for Chaney, see him go to work every day and see the influence that someone like Chaney had on him, just reemphasizes exactly the direction that we need to go in the development of the whole man in this program. So absolutely, that's exactly what we're doing.
Coach, quick follow-up to that. The bad news is your closest rival is Navy. The good news is your recruiting area, 100 miles in any direction. You're pretty much a Division I program. How much are you recruiting the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia area?
Those are those are tremendous areas for us. We're hitting those areas hard. We feel as though from New York all the way down to the Virginia area and cherry pick through Florida is where we've got to make our hay. So those areas in the past, if you just look at the tradition of the history of Temple football, that is where when they were winning, they've got a bulk of their football players. So Jersey's a very talented ball state. Tremendous talent comes out of there every single year. Obviously, Penn State and Rutgers have done a good job of picking those guys out. And even when I was at Ohio State, we labeled that Jersey, New York area as a key area for talent. Got Curtis Samuel out of there when I was at Ohio State from New York City. So we got to tap in there. We got to go in there and compete with those schools and present this Temple brand and show them that that everything that they want out of football and the education that they can get right here at Temple.
Okay, we'll go to Kyle Nash, Black and Gold Banneret, please, for the next. All right, if no Kyle, we'll go to Trace Trilko, please. Next one.
Coach, for this to be a successful season for you, what are you going to need to see from your defense?
Physicality. We got to hit people in the mouth. We got to do it all. Obviously, negative plays, creating negative plays, creating turnovers. And these are things that I think our defense are well capable of. These are things that they showed in the spring. That's the one thing that I think that can become a reality during a real game. So it starts with the defensive line. Our D-line coach has done a phenomenal job of getting these guys to buy into an unselfish way of going about business. Our defensive coordinator, DJ Elliott, has brought in a phenomenal, not only causes problems systematically to offenses, but allows our players to cut it loose. Very simple way of installing. They understand it. They believe in it. At any given time, a certain scheme could be called, and anybody on that defensive side of the ball can be the playmaker for that given call. Players have bought into that, but creating negative plays, creating turnovers, and just being extremely physical will give us a chance to win ball games on defense for sure.
Appreciate it. First year head coach Stan Drayton bringing back that Temple toughness. Excited to watch you guys start things soon in the 2022 season. Have a great fall camp.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Rini, it's something that has been known for this Temple team is that toughness.
Yeah.
And he mentioned it. We saw some of the drill work that they had done. It's the identity of what this program has been built on.
He's going to bring it back. He mentioned it. Coach Drayton has coached under some great head coaches, some great programs, in that toughness and physicality he's going to bring in. He's an old school guy. He knows doesn't matter how fancy the offense is, how fancy the defense is, you build your teams from the side out, interior line play, offense and defense of line play, and then you build out from there. He knows that. He's going to do that. They're going to be physical this year. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, there was no, we're going to do this. We're already doing it right now. And the schedule is interesting because the start of the schedule is pretty favorable to them and a chance to get off to a good start. That's very interesting. Lafayette, Rutgers, UMass up there, and then you go at Memphis, at UCF, and then the bottom portion of that gets tough when you have to go to Houston and then host Cincinnati.
But I agree with you, and I kind of feel like because it's his first year, it's kind of house money, right? You're bringing in, to use the word culture again, you're changing the culture, you're changing everything. With the physicality that I think he's going to play with, they only went 1-7 in conference next year, so I think they're definitely going to better that. 3 wins overall. Look for Temple to be markedly improved.
It felt like he had already kind of implemented some things. I mean, you only get a certain amount of time for some practices during the spring that he could already felt that there was a cohesion in this team.
And one of his biggest gets, if you will, we've been talking about transfer portal, is DeJuan Mathis, the former Georgia quarterback who transferred to Temple. He was going to leave after last year. Stan Drayton comes in, is able to keep him. We talked about, right, sometimes recruiting your own players, keep him on, and that's a huge peak for him to have Dewan Mathis there.
And Mathis has been an incredible story, was originally committed to Georgia, had a life-threatening brain cyst that was discovered by the school's medical staff, had surgery, ends up going to Temple, has had some injuries as well, but excited to watch him another season. And last year they more than 14 points in 9 games.
Yeah.
What do you think this offense looks like from a guy who is known to run the ball himself? I mean, do you see that run first out of this team?
Yeah, and I think they have to run first. Now, I think they're definitely going to improve on points per game. There's no doubt about it. But I think you're going to see a downhill physical mentality of running the ball, establishing the run and winning the line of scrimmage. And then from there, you can go vertical and get to the outside and take your shots and use the athleticism of a Dewan Mathis. But talk about Adam Klein, right? He talked about that offensive lineman that's been around. And it is. The offensive line is that one group that always takes the longest to get the cohesiveness. So by them moving players around different positions in the spring, and it was tough. I think Klein's going to slide in there and play center. The kid has played every single position on the offensive line. So once they get some cohesiveness there, those guys love run blocking. They love the physicality. So I think they're going to be happy with what Coach Drayton does this year.
And you might see them throw the ball a bit because Mathis, he threw over 600 yards and 5 touchdowns during a 2-game stretch. So he has the ability
to both.
elongate the
Absolutely.
field. All right, let's get to some of the players that we're going to talk to. Offensive lineman Adam Klein, who we've been talking about, and defensive tackle Zach Gill. For both of you guys, we've talked about toughness, the Temple toughness that Coach has brought in early. Adam, I'll start with you. What are some things that you guys have already started to do to build that Temple toughness?
I think it just starts in the winter workouts, with our strength coaches and our strength staff. I think that's, been established early in our program now with Coach Drayton. He got his message to us very certain right away. He just wanted, we were back to that Temple tough mentality, and he wanted us to be great from the beginning. It started in the winter workouts. It's led its way through spring ball. Running the ball, pass protecting, all that stuff, especially with the up front. Just being physical every single play. And then, it's led into summer workouts, and I'm just really excited where we're going, and I'm excited for this season.
We'll go right to questions from the media. We'll start with Sam Cohn from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hey, Adam, Zach, good to see you guys. Just for starters, Zach, can you kind of walk through what the transition is like to go from playing mainly defensive tackle at UNC to switching over to nose guard?
The transition has been, it's been pretty smooth. I'm pretty much seeing the same thing, just double teams, and it's pretty normal.
And then you guys, how much is the importance of leadership amplify within the locker room, especially under a new staff like this?
I think I think it's kind of our job is to really relay Coach Drayton's message to the team. I think we're kind of like piggybacking off of Coach Drayton's message and our position coaching messages to the rest of the group, our team. I think that's a huge in how the team responds to Coach Drayton, because if he sees the leaders of this team are behind him, he's going to get the other players of this team as well. And I think that's the biggest part is if we're on the same page as him and the team's on the same page as him, that's the thing for our success.
Go next to Javon from WHIP Radio, please.
Adam, you've been here probably the longest of anyone on the team. And when you see the schedule, Temple is one of the only teams that gets the farewell games for UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston. Have you looked at those and circled them as those games that you really want to get the guys more excited for and guys out of the conference with the loss?
I think, definitely. You want to win every single game. That's part of football, especially with my last season, how long I've been here at Temple, it's kind of like an unfinished business where we just, I want to get Temple back to where it was. Where I was when I was a freshman and sophomore, getting the bowl games and winning those as well. So I think, the biggest thing for me is, as a leader is just to try to get the guys all on the same page. And, I'm really excited about those games because we got really good ahead of us and really good teams. And they're going to require for us that we have every single weekend. And I'm just excited to get to play them, give them everything we got and show them who we are.
We'll take the next question from Brock Hoffman from Football Stories Magazine, please.
Adam, you've played virtually, if not every position on the offensive line, just about. How does that versatility help, A, you as a player, and B, how will it help the team coming up this season?
I mean, I think, being able to play every position on the offensive line is a huge thing. I think a lot of, coaches can respect that and can really, feel comfortable with me playing any position, especially, with our offensive line coach, Coach Wiesenhan. He feels very comfortable with me playing any position on the offensive line. And I think that, a position coach and a head coach, a lot of confidence, God forbid somebody, goes down or there's an injury, I could be somewhere on that spot on the offensive lines, without, a hiccup being the offensive line. So I think big factor, just having that versatility, being able to play all 5 spots, is a huge thing for me personally that I pride myself on, and something that I can help my coaches out with.
And Coach Wiesenhan's back, and I guess he was probably here when you earlier in your career. So talk about him and your relationship with him.
I mean, I love Coach Wies. He's been probably my favorite coach I've ever had in my lifetime. So I have a really good relationship with him. A lot of it's just built on trust and honesty. He's not a guy that, is going to, steer you the wrong way. He's only going to tell you the truth, and he's only just going to be honest with you the entire time. And, Coach Wies has brought my best play out of me, and I'm just excited where this season's going to go forward and what he's going to get out of me and what I'm going to get out of him. And I'm just really looking forward to, getting the pads on and starting soon.
All right, thank you.
We'll go next to Dan Tortora, DT.
This is for both of you. I heard Coach the fact that there were some things culturally that needed to be changed from both points of view. What were some of the things that you feel like needed to change in the culture?
I mean, I would probably say, just defining what tough meant to the program. We have 4 pillars: tough, trust, unselfishness, family, and finish. And that's what we've really been pushing in this off season, and I feel like the guys have definitely bought into that.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback off Zach, I mean, he's perfect in saying that. Just getting back to that Temple tough mentality. I think we lost it a little bit there, and I think some of our opponents realize that as well. But I think us moving forward, it's just about what we need to change as a program. I think we're definitely on the right track, and everything we've done from January to now.
Okay, we'll go Leo Haggerty, please.
I don't have a follow-up for that, Chuck. Sorry.
No problem, Leo. We'll go to Trace Trilko then for the next one, please.
For each of you guys, Temple picked in the preseason media poll last. What do you do with that?
I mean, personally, it just adds fuel to the fire. Everybody has an opinion, but the beautiful thing about having an opinion is you can change it, and that's what we plan on doing. So.
Yeah, I think Zach hit the spot on that one. It kind of gives a chip on the shoulder. We know what we're capable of, and we know what we can do. And I think, like you said, it's just fuel to the fire of, we know what happened last year, and we put it in the back mirror, and it's time to move forward. And we're excited for what we're going to do this year, and we have really good high hopes about what will happen.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Good luck, fall camp. Excited to watch you guys kick off this 2022 season very soon.
Thank you.
There you have it. Temple toughness being reinstilled back there up in Philly. Coming up next, Gus Malzahn off his debut season at UCF has put together the head coach.
So.
That changed your coaching mentality going into this season?
That's a great question. Last year, it wasn't just it was who the injuries were too. And
what the hell? Not mine's buffering. Damn it. Go back a little bit.
Would go about that.
Trace Trilko, Sons of UCF.
Coach, getting running back Isaiah Bowser through the season healthy has got to be.
What? I don't know why it's having trouble. Hold on.
Just defining what tough meant to the program.
Top, actually, we talk about being
being part of the Power Six. But I really believe that's true. I think these teams that we're adding to the conference bring big time, value as well. And a lot of them are strong academic institutions like Tulane. Also, a lot of them are within our footprint, not too far away. Our fans will be able to travel. Their fans will be able to travel. So I think we've really done a good job with the additions to our conference.
We'll go next to Leo Haggerty, please.
A recruiting question. When you end up not going to a bowl game, one of the advantages of going to a bowl game is you get an extra week or two of practice. Should the NCAA allow teams that do not go to a bowl game an extra 7 days, either in the spring or in the fall? Because all that happens is the rich keep getting richer because they get to practice longer.
I put a lot of thought into that, but with what the NCAA added this summer, with being able to use the football for 2 hours a week, I think that was a nice step forward. We were able to do a lot of things. We had 10 what we call football school workouts, practices, and for an hour of each one of those practices, you're able to throw the football around. I feel like we've got probably 80-90% of our offense, 80% of our defense, and then also a little bit of our special teams. The only limitation that we had is we weren't able to go against each other in a competitive type environment. So, you can also argue that during that time, we weren't able to practice. We were able to get on the road recruiting and maybe cover a little bit more ground than we normally did. We feel like we had maybe our best season recruiting this last year too, which is difficult to do coming off a season like we had.
We'll go next to Trace Trilco, please, Sons of UCF.
Coach, what would you like to see from Michael Pratt? What kind of development in order to have a successful season?
Well, Michael had a tough season last year with some injuries, and he fought through it. He's a highly competitive guy. We talk to him all the time about first down, touchdown, get down. And we're going to work on that a little bit more. You'll have to ask Michael about that. But, he's just a great leader and a great runner.
I like to see him progress.
Take that
Michael
away from
Pratt.
our
I
offense.
definitely like to see him
College
progress
games, pro games, the ability of quarterbacks to run the football.
Because look,
I think he's excited about
this young man had a lot of injuries last year. So, to be honest with you, I think it's going to probably
on the offensive
help
side
him
of the ball.
out.
And I'm excited about our O-line. We got 7, 8, 9 guys who are compete for those 5 spots. We've got 2 really experienced tight ends that I think could play for a lot of people across the, 4 or 5 really good running backs. And then wide receiver position, I think, is really solid as well. That's an area that we needed to get better at. So the people around him need to do a great job, and that'll allow Michael to have a fantastic season as well.
Well, from Dan Torres.
Coach, looking at the fact that you went to 3 bowl games, in 3 years, 2-1 in those bowl games before what happened last season, where is Tulane, in your opinion, as far as that you implemented years ago, and what can you say about the foundation and where this team is currently at, knowing that you've had 3 bowl games in the last 4 years?
Well, we want to get back to that level at the bare minimum, but we really feel like we can conference championships. That's our goal. And day in and as I said before, I think we got great culture. We lost very few guys. I really like the environment that these guys have created within the coaches have helped create them as well. And we like our schedule. We got a little bit of a tail coming out of it last year, but one thing I was proud of is the way our guys competed from the beginning of the season till the end of the season. I really had next to zero problems. Sometimes the wheels fall off, they go in all different directions, and you start having problems. And we didn't have that. Our guys, kept the high character standards we want to have here at all times. But certainly, we were disappointed in our record, and we want to compete for a conference championship. We really believe that we can do that.
take a follow-up with Gary Smith, please.
Yeah, Will, you brought in Valentino Ambrosio, the kicker from Rutgers, in the offseason. How important an addition do you feel like he can be for kicking game?
Well, important. We need to have consistent field goal kicking. You know, that was a weakness of ours this past season, and a guy that can hit those gimme field goals that are, and also be able to, if you get in a 7 or 8 situation, it's a 51-yarder. You got a great chance of making that as well. So it's going to be a lot of competition to see who our field goal kicker is during preseason camp.
All right, Coach, as a former running back, I got to ask about Tajay Spears. How's he doing? And any wrinkles in the offense under Coach Sabota?
Tajay's doing great. His last ball game against Memphis, he had 264 yards rushing. Had a great offseason. He's had a great summer. There's a we're going to be able to change up our tempos, which is what I like. That Coach Sabota has brought in. Well, the ability, not very many teams can go fast and slow. We want to be able to do both. We want to be able to run a 4-minute offense where we're taking time off the clock, running the football, and everybody in the stadium knows you're running it, and you're still able to get first, but we also want to go fast and change those tempos. An old defensive coordinator, I think that puts a lot of pressure on the defense. So Jim has done a great job of coming in here and implementing his offense. And then the other assistant coaches that have come in with him, I think, have brought in some solid ideas as well.
Coach, with Michael being his 3rd year in this system, where has he improved now having done this for the 3rd time?
Really, this is going to be the 3rd different system Michael's been under. We had Coach Hall, now the head coach at Southern Miss. His first, our offense was different last year, and now, but with the benefit of spring football, and also all the things that you're allowed to do in the summer, it feels like we had 2 spring balls. In my opinion, we've gotten a lot of good work in, and he's a gym rat up here all the time, and just trying to eke out every bit of knowledge that he can from Coach Sabota, and also getting the others together. In this day and age, we're limited how many hours you can do things as far as workouts are concerned. Like 8 hours a week is what you're allowed. But these guys come up for a whole lot more than that, to study video on their own, to go out in the field and do, routes. They go with the defense and do 7-on-7s, and Michael's been a leader of all of that. So he's going to have a huge season for us. We're excited to see his development from year 2 to.
Awesome. We appreciate the time. Looking forward to start your 7th season there with Tulane. Appreciate it. Have a great fall camp.
Thank you. Roll Wave.
He mentioned one of the things that we have seen a theme, as we mentioned, at Houston and SMU. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Sometimes it's just green. And with the talent that you have in New Orleans, some of those guys not staying with their hometown school, going to other schools, but then realizing, hey, maybe this is the place that I want to be. That transfer portal has been very helpful to Tulane.
And a team like Tulane that was in that tailspin, like he talked about, it's important to put some people. Until he had mentioned it, I forgot the hurricane issue they dealt with, living in Birmingham, Alabama for a month, and it steamrolled for him in a bad way last year. But like he said, he likes the way his team fought. Adding those additional pieces in the transfer portal, they're going to improve this year. I know Willie Fritz, what type of coach he is. They have talent there, to win this year.
Yeah, you started out the season September 3rd against UMass, Kansas State, going to Manhattan September 17th, Southern Miss, and then you got to go play at Houston, at Tulsa. But the rest, you get some good games at home with SMU and Memphis, all coming to New Orleans.
There's no doubt about it. And as I said, they have talent on that rock to win some games for sure.
One of the other things, though, is line has got to get better. He had said three different systems for Michael Pratt, but be able to move the chains, and the O-line needs to be
You
able
got
to
win inside, right? I've talked about it all day. And he said there's 7 to 9 guys battling for those 5 spots. We'll see how it pans out for him.
All right, as we get ready for the players, quarterback Michael Pratt, linebacker Nick Andrew joining us now. Players, thanks so much for joining us. Michael, we'll start with you. Coach had mentioned it. You're basically your third system now. Your third year, your third system with Lane. Where are the differences and what you've learned in year 3 with this system?
Just going into year 3, obviously I've had first year Coach Hall, last year Coach Long, and then Coach Boat. Coach Boat has brought in a lot of really good implementations of how we're gonna tempo our offense, taking what's there, not trying to do too much with the ball. I think last year that was one of the things I think we try to do a little too much sometimes, but just in his system that we're gonna work with what the defense has given us and go from there.
Okay, we'll go right to questions from the media, please. Again, use the raise hand feature in the Zoom to get in the queue. We'll start with Gary Smith, please.
Yeah. Michael, I think 10 of the 11 teams in the AAC returned their starting quarterback, but you were picked third all conference by Athlon. You're one of the 85 preseason watch list for the Maxwell Award. Obviously, there's a ton of respect for your ability out there. How do you feel about that, and what type of season do you feel like you can have?
Bowl games.
I feel good about that. I still don't think it's everything that I'm capable of.
All that, no.
I think that 3. I think everything's going to continue to slow down even more for me. I think that the offense that we have, Oda's brought in, the talent that we have, all the receivers, all the receivers we have coming back, the offensive line, having Tajay back, and Rashad Clayton, Cam Carroll, and all those guys, I think we have a really effective offense that we're going to be able to produce and score a lot of points this year, balancing out from the run game, the pass game, and everything's going to open up. And, no matter if we're going to be a run-heavy offense, pass-heavy, I think we're going to be very effective no matter what we do.
Go to Dan Tortora. Up call DT for the next one, please.
This is for both. Just coming off of a season that win-loss record-wise in the column doesn't look adequately to what you guys were trying to do last year, obviously. So how do you come off of a season like that? And what were some of the things that you can build this year that maybe we can't see simply by looking at the record?
First and foremost, just those said, just being able to turn the page, look forward to this upcoming season, look forward to this preseason camp and the first game versus UMass. One of the things that has really been a blessing for our team is that we've brought 98% of the guys back, and it was just shows our diligence, just our attitude about last season, knowing that we don't want to, move on from this program and, go out the way that we did last year. Guys just had different attitudes this offseason, just been working harder, holding themselves more accountable. I feel like the role player, the coach are extremely, extremely well, probably the best since they've been since I've been here. And we've just been really putting our heads down and going to work on a day-to-day basis, focusing on building each other up and being here for each other. Because when we was 2-10, the only people that we could count on was ourselves. And that's just one of the things that's with the program is just depending on each other on a day in and day out basis.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Nick said. I think the morale in the locker room, the overall attitude within the players and the coaches has completely changed. I think the accountability has gone up dramatically. I think we've had at least half the guys really step up and take some leadership roles and hold people accountable, like I said. And I really don't think that our record last year dictated the type of team we were. I think week 1, we showed what we were capable of against Oklahoma. And I think we only had 3 games that I would say we really lost those games. I think majority of the other games were within a touchdown. There's little things that we're working on this offseason through spring, summer, the attitude changes, coach changes are really going to push and help us this year.
Back to Gary Smith for a follow-up, please.
Sure. Michael, you mentioned some of the close games. Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF, the 3 teams that are leaving the league after this year, they split up all the first place votes in the media poll. And you guys had a chance against all three of those. You were ahead of Houston in the second half last year. You almost beat UCF. You didn't play the Cincinnati game, but that was competitive. Does that make you feel like you're closer than maybe some people outside think you are going into this season?
Oh, 100%. When I look at the schedule, I don't think there's a game on there that we can't win. I think we're going to be top contenders this year, and we want to win the AAC championship, and that's what we're striving, and that's our goal.
Hey guys, I know both of you played through some injuries, banged up a bunch last year. Nick, I know you had a high ankle sprain. How are you guys now health-wise? I'm assuming good. And how important is it, right, to stay healthy to get off to a good start this season?
Most definitely. I actually broke my so ankle stick, but it's a blessing. Just being out really allowed me to do my due diligence of, seeing where my team needed help, being able to support both the offense and the defense. Really just taking a step back from being a player on the field and being able to, just be a shoulder to lean on. We were going through a lot with the hurricane, with guys just being in bad places mentally. And it was good for me to, just be there with those guys. Despite my injury, I was able to be there for my teammate, be there for Michael. Despite the wins and losses, that was just the biggest thing because mentally we went through a lot last year. I just was blessed to be able to come back when I did. But that's the biggest thing this year is just staying healthy.
Yeah, agreed. I think another impact from this year is our strength program has really increased and really helped us out. I don't think we've had any soft tissue injuries or anything like that since spring, which is huge, all the way through spring and summer. So I think they're doing a really good job doing what we need to do in order to stay healthy. And I've also put on some weight to help my body. Is going to be huge for this year, and so.
We can go back to Gary Smith for one more, please.
Sure, Nick, you were nominated for the Werfel Award today. How much does that mean to you, considering it's also for off the field and community service, stuff like that, in addition to on field?
Most definitely. It's an honor. It just gives a testament to, something that's dear to my heart, which is serving my community and being able to help as much off the field as I do on the field. It's just a blessing to be recognized that I try to, help around the city of New Orleans. And that's just one thing that is real adamant when it comes to our university and our football team. We're very adamant about community service, getting out there, helping with children, with the homeless, with church, things like that. So it's not just a reward for myself, but also just a recognition of how we carry this program and, the things that we try to instill in our day-to-day basis on and off the field.
Michael Pratt Anderson, really appreciate the time. Good luck this season. Stay healthy, and we're looking forward to watching you guys play.
Thank you.
Up the Tulane portion of today's media day. One more team.
And going ahead and announcing that for our, so that we can move forward and have time, whoever that starter is, to be the leader of that offense and of the team for several weeks at BYU.
Go next to Baker, Tampa Bay Times, please, for follow-up.
If I wanted to follow up with what you were talking about on a breakthrough year and how enjoyable that is, what gives you confidence with this roster that you guys can finally break through this year?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing for me, you're around them every day, right? And just the progress and how we do things. We talk about it's all about the little things. And, watching our guys work this spring, watching them work this summer, we're not having some of the issues that we had my first and second year, where you're trying to get guys to understand what the standard is and to really be able to push through and to do the required to be successful at this level of college football. So it's been different in that respect. And then also I feel like we've, this is definitely going to be the most talented team that we've had since obviously good in transition, affected our first team in 2020. And last year I felt like we were in a little bit better position. But, I think the combination of the buy-in, the mindset of our players, the additions that we brought in from the player personnel side, and then also Bob Shoup, our defensive coordinator, Travis Trickett, offensive coordinator, they've definitely added to our overall team. And I'm not predicting any number of wins. We'll see what it looks like. It's a very, like I said, you could look at our schedule and make a case that we have the most difficult schedule in the conference. And so it's definitely not going to be easy, but on your journey to getting to where you want to, there are those breakthrough wins, those breakthrough moments. And I feel like this team is prepared to, be able to experience those this year.
Take the next one from Dan Tortora, Wake Up Call DT.
Coach, not only yourself, but Tony Elliott now being at Virginia, and Brent Venables, who you mentioned before, at Oklahoma. Just what you can say about that coaching tree that leads back to Coach Sweeney, and what it is about Dabo that has been so special and paramount to success with many coaches, including yourself.
Well, absolutely. I could talk days on that. Coach Sweeney is just an incredible person, and he's a developer of men, and obviously that's the young athletes as players, but also developing. Before I became a co-offensive coordinator, when I was a recruiting coordinator, go on the road with him recruiting, just some of the conversations that we would have, and he'd say, hey, when you become a coach one day, these are some of the things that you're going to have to kind of work through. So, and I know he's having the same conversations with both Tony and Brent, really just kind of over time preparing. And I think overall, the way that he communicated his culture, his beliefs, and the consistency in that, I think is, overall what helps young coaches, learn. Sometimes there may be a head coach that maybe he does everything and he just wants you to kind of do your job. But Coach Sweeney is one that really not only develops his players, but develops his coaches and his staff. And, but the other side of it is he has such an incredible culture that coaches don't want to leave. That's why you saw for many years, the continuity that we had. And then, finally there is a to go out and spread your wings and, have your opportunity to coach and run your program. But, he's still a major mentor for me and one that I lean on for advice, navigating the challenges of being coach.
And a follow-up here for South UCF, that was something that has been a rivalry over time, something that people would like to get back, but they're leaving the conference. What are your thoughts on the UCF South Florida connection, and would you like to have a non-conference bout with them when they go to the Big 12?
Yeah, I think there's so many things changing so fast. It's hard to really, it feels like we're all on a ride right now, and everything's happening super fast, and it's got to slow down, and then we can get to a little bit of normalcy of what the future looks like. I think it makes a lot of sense to continue that rivalry. I know it's one that's been going on since we started our program, and a great rivalry through the years. Now, what that looks like, with the non-conference schedules that have already been planned out, for the next 4 or 5 years, how all that gets set up, I'm sure that'll be decided by, the athletic directors and leadership of the school. But I definitely would like to continue that when possible.
Okay, we'll go Peter Blake, please.
What's going on, Coach? You talked about Dabo and his advice that he gave you. Can you kind of expound on that? What kind of advice he gave you going through these efforts? And then on top of it, how excited are you to add Coach Morris to your staff?
Yeah, well, I would say, overall advice from Coach Sweeney, number one, hey, be yourself, right? And realize that, you have to go down to South Florida and try to do everything that we did.
This up,
take the and
wrap this up. So once again, thanks for joining us for this edition of Sports Talk and American Conference Media Days Part 2. Once again, you heard from all the coaches. Sorry we didn't get Gus Miles on, but we'll get that in later shows if you. So we will be back again tomorrow for Saints football, we will have press conferences from Coach Dennis Allen recapping day 1 and day 2 of Saints training camp, and also day 3 as well. So hopefully you can join us with your questions and comments. So once again, we will see you again tomorrow.